Hello and welcome
Hello.
Broad Show.
What's going on, boys?
Tuesday,
Everyone.
21st of May, guys. And we are back. What's happening, lads? How we doing?
Traveling all right, mate. Friday night, pretty sweet result. Sitting comfortable, top of the table. Couldn't be better. Sorry.
Can we end
Just had to.
No, man, it's I'm feeling really good. City got the win. Pies got the win. Just, but things going smoothly over here. Moving houses, so I actually think I've got someone coming to pick up a TV unit at about 9 o'clock. So I might have to duck off for 5 minutes while he picks that up, sort some stuff out. And the house is, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's so echoey and empty. It's end of a chapter, but all good.
Oh, very good. Very good. Jake, how are you, mate?
Yeah, pretty much whatever Swoop said, just the exact opposite. That's it's tough being a Saints fan, but when you're a Saints fan and a Gooner, it adds to it big time. So I think I said off air, I'm all right. I'm consistently okay. Wouldn't mind being a bit better, but there's always next week, as they tell me. So
very good.
And how about you,
Well,
Terry?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm all right. Just holding it together. You said something about an empty house, feeling like everything's empty and echoey. A little bit like my soul right now, but no, it's never too bad. It's never as bad as it seems. It's never as good as it seems, eh?
Exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah. So we got a massive show tonight. We have a fresh guest. We might start with him, Mr. Riles Macca. Mate, welcome to Footy Abroad. So good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, guys. No, it's great to chew the fat tonight, have a chat with some great blokes across the community. So, yeah, really honoured to hop on board. Thanks very much. And, to kind of get stuck into it.
Yeah. Well, we'll stick with you for a couple of minutes, maybe give the audience a bit of a rundown into you and, your channel, your journey, what you're doing, what you're looking to do.
Yeah, okay. So, I've always lived and breathed footy. The old man, it's actually Northern Irish, grew up, going way far back, but might as well start there, going way. He grew up in Northern Ireland, moved across Australia mid-'80s and supported the Swannies ever since. So, like father, like son, pretty much. That's why I'm a big Swannies man. And, during COVID, I felt like I wanted to start creating a bit of videos again, creating a bit of content, involving AFL footy. And then 2021, got a bit more into like doing some live watch-alongs and just, calling games and everything. And I did highlights back then too, and they seemed to do pretty well, gained a bit of traction with my channel. Then went into some copyright issues that year, and I thought, well, I want to start making videos of my own, talking, having a chat about what I think and my opinions on stuff, and just growing and enjoying and creating graphics, etc. So just wanting to continue to do that. I just see it as a hobby. Don't want to do it as full time. I mean, I'd love to, but I see it more as a thing I love doing, chatting about footy and especially doing things like commentary and live watch-alongs.
Yeah, how good. You touched on the Swans. Maybe give us a summary of what happened over the weekend from your lens, and I guess how the Swans are going overall.
Yeah, ripper win Friday night. Sitting, 1.5 games clear on top. I knew we would improve after that elimination final loss last year, but sitting 9-1, I think I've probably exceeded my expectations a little bit. But I think last year just the injuries really hurt us. Couldn't get continuity out in the park, and we were just talking before about how we've had like 17 players play every single game with each other. So just having that is just critical importance, and just a lot of things like the recruitment we had in the off-season, much needed experience. Out goes Hickey, in comes Grundy. I mean, his ground level work's been amazing for us, and we've been a much better stoppage team. And James Jordan now playing like a Ryan Clark sort of role, but more skillful. He's tagged Clark, Whitfield, and now did a great job on Sam Walsh. I mean, I thought, wow, he just completely took him out of the game. And I think just everything's gelling nice, and as well as, of course, just the natural improvement of our young players like Goulden. Rowbottom's really improved his numbers too. McInerney as well. Amadi McDonald. Apart from kicking 0 goals last week, McDonald kicked a goal every single game. So, yeah, I think just we're ticking every box at the moment. And, it's hard to go against it. We're flying.
No, got to enjoy it. 17 players have played every game this year. That's madness. Well, yeah, from my lens anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's I tweeted. Oh, sorry, go, Jake.
You go, mate. You go.
I tweeted tweeted during the Sydney game. Like, I was like, where did this team come from? You know, like seeing two years ago, you obviously get smashed in that grand final. You beat us by a point, get smashed in the grand final, and then come out again last year. And you guys were good last year, but now it's just next level. And obviously, it comes from, you know, getting games into all your sort of guys and Gordon and all these little guys are getting better, which is fair enough. And then Taylor Adams, Brody Grundy, like you said, your off-season recruits. It's just a joy to watch. And the Amadi party, I'm on board, mate. He's fucking fantastic. He went back with the flight the other day. Just no regard for his safety. And I think he smashed us in round 2 as well, or round 1, whatever you want to call it. He played really well against us as well. He's been a revelation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is pretty much, I think, his first pre-season where he's actually had a full consistent crack at it because he's been injured every year pretty much. Obviously had the breakout 2021. That's when the Amadi party got really going. And on social media, I think like mates from school did like the banners and all that. So, yeah, he's been awesome. And even Hayden McLean, our most improved player last year, he's ticking along nicely as well. So, yeah, just the role players, the stars. I mean, to be honest, I think Isaac Heaney into the full-time midfield as well has just been outstanding. So the goal contributions from our midfielders has really been a key reason why we're sitting on top.
Absolutely. I mean, when Harry Cunningham's taking running bounces from halfback to half forward and taking shots on goal, you know you're going well.
Yeah.
So, very good. Luke, you look good in blue. Just thought I'd let you know that.
Hey, thanks, mate. Hey, if you saw me a couple of years ago, or probably your supporters would have. I think I wore a Carlton jersey for a review of the game. That was my bet with Pommy, and I fucking looked good in it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't mind the old shade of blue. Really brings out my olive Maltese skin, so it's good.
Yeah. Well, while we're with you, talk to us about the Pies, mate. What's the story? What happened? How are you sitting at the moment?
Yeah, it feels it's good. It's been a massive change these last. I think we've gone eight rounds. Yeah, 8 rounds or 7 rounds unbeaten, which is really good. Adelaide just match up so well against us. It's ridiculous how well they match up against us. We go up 30 points. Then they peg some back at halftime. And I thought, I said in my review that, and people disagree with me, but I said that we kind of stole it at the end because it was all Adelaide. That third quarter was all Adelaide. That second half of the second quarter, all Adelaide. And obviously that last quarter, we only kicked that 1 goal. We did put a bunch of work into the first half. But Adelaide they're just great. I don't think their position on the ladder is a true testament to where they are as a team. They started off really poorly, like that 0-4, but they're a good team. But yeah, the Pies just chugging along. As long as you're winning, doesn't matter how you win. We had and kind of like Carlton at the moment, we had 14 players on the injury list. We had a 10-minute injury video, like explaining our injuries and everything and updates, which is crazy. We get a couple of guys back, 2 more debutants on Friday. So it's just carnage at the moment. And it always is sometimes, like you guys are obviously going through it. But it's exciting. I've said it's very exciting just to see these VFL guys come through and seeing what they can do. And it's a good time to see. Better now than fucking in finals.
They've been bubbling away, these boys in the VFL for a while now, right? Like it's not they are new, but they have been developing for quite some time.
Yeah, they've been playing together. So Harrison, Finn McRae, Reef, Lockie Sullivan, at least 2 seasons together. And you can kind of see that on the field where they connect really well, more than they connect with the seniors a little bit more. And it's really nice to see. And it's credit to Josh Fraser and Neville Jetta down in the VFL and the development. But even we got Will Parker, who 100 days ago was playing
Yeah.
fucking big bash cricket against insane stars for Hobart, and now Cat B rookie, and now he's playing football, like senior football on Friday. That's just it just blows my mind, you know.
Wow. So good. So good. Jake, how are
Yes,
you, mate? What's the story? What happened?
Oh, what's the story? We're proving everyone that thought last year was a little bit of a flash in the pan right, which is really annoying. A lot of people thought that we maybe jumped the gun. Ross coming back, a bit of excitement, 150th year. The youth, the kids actually carried the team for a lot of the year last year when we had a lot of injuries. And sadly, this year, the kids aren't probably coming along as well as we would have thought. We thought maybe Owens would explode into the midfield. We're not playing him there. He's playing forward, getting lost. They kicked 3 on the weekend, but he only had 8 disposals. I still think he's more of an important player in the midfield. Filippo, as we know, highly publicised this week. Dropped to the VFL last week. Did okay. Didn't do a whole heap by his standards. Came back in. Only got, I think, 2 or 3 possessions for the entire game. Played about 80% of the game. So I'd imagine he's probably on the chopping block again. But it's just, we're not kicking goals. We just don't know how to kick goals. That's, again, 55 points on the weekend. The week before, 53. Both in great conditions. As much as defense is very important to win premierships, you do need to go on runs and kick bags of goals quick. And a Ross Lyon team, on average, over his entire coaching career, is probably, as at best, I think was 4th for attack in 2009 when we had a stacked forward line. And every year, pretty much since then, it's been 10th or worse, which I think they spoke about on Footy Classified. So you need to be top 6, top 5 in both defense and attack. Sydney are right there. They're in the peak spot. And you look at, even Carlton not too far off. There's a few teams there that have the mold of what a top 4 team needs, and you need to be able to kick goals. From the midfield especially, we have no mids that are dangerous going forward. Sydney have a stack. Carlton have a few. Collingwood have plenty. Brisbane have heaps. Who's our goal-kicking mid? We don't have one. Yeah. Jack Steele's definitely not that. And Roll Marshall's doing a lone hand. He's the one doing everything.
He was unbelievable.
He's unbelievable, but he's the only bloke. We need more. We need more. And to be honest, last week was the first time in a game where it kind of broke me a little bit. Like I've been optimistic every week, and I've said, we'll pull it together. We're getting players back. Our injury list, I put it in the WhatsApp group. We have 2 on the injury list, and they're both youngsters that aren't going to debut this year anyway. So, it's not been a great week for the Saints, and it doesn't get much easier against a rebounding Melbourne on Sunday. But even then, I wish Melbourne won by a lot, so they didn't give me a sniff. And now they've played the way they played, and at least me, I'm thinking, all right, they're not playing good footy, Melbourne, so who knows? That's the annoying part. There's always the hope.
That's what kills you.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. You don't even need to finish that quote. We all know where that's going. Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Terry? You said the Blues were your lock of the week.
Yeah. See what I told you? Like every time I get confident, I just can't help myself.
You did say it.
Look, the Blues were humbled. What can I say? I mean, Carlton's out of the 8.
Beautiful sight.
Well, what can I say?
Good
So I think before the game, I thought what we had on paper. I haven't used injuries as an excuse all year, and I refuse to. Thought there was plenty on the park to win the game on Friday. Was pretty confident we'd give it a fair shake. I thought the first 10 minutes I'm like, yeah, this is what I thought we would do. Then when the Swans wrestled it back, we didn't have that resilience. Like they evaporated. It was the first time I've seen them do that since probably Gather Round 2023. Like last round of the year, last year we played the Giants at Marvel. Charlie kicked 2 goals in the first quarter, sewed up the Coleman, and we kind of just, didn't really try. So I don't know if you count that, but I mean, I'm concerned because I saw them accept the fate a little bit. And so I don't know whether to read too much into it. I don't know whether it's a one-off. I mean, we got exposed in the midfield, which is supposed to be our strong suit. The Swans seem to thrive off our punch at the start. Like we threw a really solid, couple of goals at them, and they seem to thrive off it. And fair play, like that's footy. It humbles you really quickly. You think you're going okay. We were matching it with the best teams for the previous 4 weeks, winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one, and you just get completely smashed. So, what can you do? And then you fall out of the 8. You sit in 10th after you were top 4 2 weeks before. So, yeah,
it's only a game. You're only one game out of it's like 4th to 10th almost is one game, right?
Yeah,
There's
massive loss.
It's pretty close there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll cop it. Teresa, the Collingwood supporters, thrown me a $5 donation as a consolation prize. So
She got 20 last week, right?
she did, but that's if Carlton won. So, Teresa, thank you very much for that.
Where's my consolation, honestly?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a 50 for me, yeah? Nah.
Where's Druzy? Where's Druzy throwing his 20 around?
Yeah, I know. God, it was a bad game.
Yeah. So, that's the Blues. I don't know. I think we're okay, but I don't know.
Who do you have this week?
We've got Gold Coast.
You've got the Gold Coast. And they were my lock this week, and they did me proud. They hit some good form against the Cats.
Oh, they played. So I know the Cats
scintillating.
Were without a couple of players, but Suns played insane. They were incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About time.
Their midfield, I think every single one of them could have been best on. Like, it was ridiculous how good they were.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you got all your teams fucking top 10 draft picks, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even play many of the academy kids. Those no, Ethan Reid, no Rogers, no Will Graham. So, I think they just gelled together so well on that night. And it was the highest score for the in their club history too, 164 points. So, just kicking goals for fun.
Yeah,
off a 5-day break as well.
Was it? Yeah,
just breaks all. We spoke about the 5-day break a few weeks ago, I think. And, I mean, the Suns I think it just goes to show if you don't bring your mentality can say it does everything in this league. If you don't have the right mentality, I think the D's showed that. You don't come into a game with the right mentality, anyone can beat you.
Yeah, and that was in 28-degree conditions as well. Like they weren't easy conditions for both clubs. So credit to them. It's going to be a big game on Saturday against the Blues. That's going to be a hard tip, to be honest, under the roof.
Oh, I just won't be tipping this week. Just shut my mouth. Nothing is more of a humbler than the football. It just, Anyway, so that's that. We've got a bit of a compact show tonight. We're not gonna go as long as what we have the last few weeks. So what we'll do is, Riles, we'll start with you. We're each going to go around, bring up a topic or a theme that we've picked up for the last week. So we'll get you to kick us off, mate. What's on your mind?
Yeah, right. So I was thinking about what should I talk tonight, and I did a video 2 years ago about 10 things I'd do if I was the CEO. And alongside the beautiful Photoshop I did, I just stuck my face on Gil McLaughlin as the thumbnail. I went through a lot of things about introducing awards was definitely one of them. And I think when we reflect on an AFL season every year, it's just about the feel-good moments, like Sam Doherty kicking the goal when coming back from testicular cancer. I mean, Bobby Hill too. He came back as well. And how about Jake Waterman? Something? Was it something like that? Yeah, there was doubt about if he'd ever play again. And now it's an all-Australian form. So, I think with the Players Association, in my opinion, they should really consider creating a comeback player of the year sort of award. I've always felt pretty strong on this. They really should consider something like it. So the criteria would be pretty simple, like a player that was injured or, personal reasons or just in terrible form. Then the next year they come out, have a stellar season. So 2022, for example, Tyson Stengel gets listed a few clubs, comes back. I think it was through the pre-season selection period, premiership player, and James Sicily off the ACL. Paddy McCartan, which was one of the best stories of the year as well, with all the concussion problems. And even last year too, Oscar Allen off a long-term injury, Bobby Hill off testicular cancer. And even this year, Jeremy McGovern and Waterman are hard to look past. I mean, McGovern's just been hammered by injuries, never played over like 15 games in a number of years or something. And went to Qatar alongside Elliot Yeo, and he's looking like currently in all-Australian form. And Jake Waterman too. I mean, just watching him on Sunday, he was just so impressive. Like everything in his vicinity, he's just clunking and just kicked another 5 goals and 17 touches. So, yeah, comeback player of the year, I think it'd be awesome award to add onto awards night for sure.
Yeah, recruit of the year would be epic.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
think we have one, do we? That'd be nice. Or player of the month. You know, the EPL do it. Player of the month would be good. I feel like that.
Yeah, well, it was NFL inspired the comeback player of the year. So I know we say don't Americanize it, but I just think it's, we got to sort of acknowledge these players that come back, and the rehab can be tough. And yeah, demanding sport, AFL football for sure.
One player that comes to my mind is Jason McCartney from when he played at the Roos after the Bali Bombings. Just absolutely came back. I don't think he played a lot. It might have just been that a handful of games, but I remember vividly his comeback game.
Was that against the Dogs? Yeah. I swear I remember that.
Yeah, was that? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was at Telstra Dome, probably the old Telstra Dome.
Yeah.
But that was incredible, and that's that's huge for what you're saying. I love it. We should, the Brownlow should be, it's Brownlow night, but I'd love it for it to be a awards night like Collingwood. I don't know about your clubs, what they sort of do, but Collingwood has like pressure player of the year, and obviously best first year player and all this sort of stuff, like best clubman. I'd love to see that get handed to a lot of other people and make Brownlow night something bigger than it sort of is. And the NFL do it. I'd love to see a little bit more of it. It'd be great.
Yeah,
aside from awards, what would you do, boys, if you were CEO, I guess? I'm trying to think of is there a rule that I would bring in? Is there...
Riles, did you mention an award for the best forward and the best defender, positionally?
Yeah, I did best defender in that video, and it'd be sort of judged from a panel or something. Because defenders, you think they need more recognition for awards and etc. They don't get much because Brownlow is obviously just really a midfielder's award, and best forward as well. Just sort of off the NFL really. Those types of awards could be easily implemented for sure.
Knowing the AFL though, they'd give the best defender to someone that's not in the All-Australian team in the back six.
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing that would happen. Create a bit of controversy.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys put the Brownlow ahead, or do you guys look at the Brownlow medal ahead of every other award, or do you look at the Coaches Association award or the players voted MVP?
Yeah, it's more prestigious. The Brownlow for sure. Coaches Award's just the most accurate, I think, each year. That's pretty much the best judges of the game. The umpires don't really see the stats, whilst the coaches, on Monday, it's every Monday, isn't it? So I don't know actually when they do it, but I just think they're the better judges of the game, who played well and all that.
Yeah, Brownlow's not up there.
The coaches, the Brownlow, obviously incredible. You win the Brownlow, obviously your name's etched in Australian sort of history. But the umpires sometimes I saw it biasly as a Collingwood supporter last year with Lachie Neale just getting votes in games that he shouldn't have gotten, and Nick Dacos having a blinder and not getting. I think he got 1 vote when it should have been 3, and you just see that you see it all the time, and players stealing votes off other players where it shouldn't have been, and I don't know, because they're not allowed to look at the stats, right? That's their whole thing. They just have to go off memory. That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
There's so much going on. They've got so much going on. They just have to go off memory.
Yeah. It's hard. Do you have faith that there's full integrity in the umpiring department when it comes to such things? After we had that umpire that was found guilty of getting embroiled in the betting scandal?
I don't have faith in the umpire integrity.
Across the board, though.
Yeah.
Even having Lee Fisher as an umpire, and he umpires Saints games and he used to play for us. He doesn't favour us, but he goes so far the other way to not show any sort of bias. Just don't put him on. Just don't put him on. He's a good umpire, but just don't put him on Saints games.
Yeah.
It just sometimes you just I don't know. Like, it's too hard to resist.
Yeah, and that Ben Keys no-goal call. Oh, bloody hell. He was doing the
Oh,
Marcus Rashford celebration of the crowd, and I'm live. I'm like, oh, my God, he's kicked in. And I see the umpire signal a point. I'm like, oh, what the hell? He's actually signaling a point. I couldn't believe it. Thought he hit the padding, but then the other angle, he actually didn't. And I felt so bad. But, yeah, just the things like that. The video arc's got to be top priority, I think. Still got terrible quality. I think they're installing the chips in the balls I've been seeing the past month or so. So, yeah, that should give better indication in the future. Yeah, like goal line technology, sort of.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the chip to be in the ball. Someone kicks it and it goes flat. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be something like that.
Can't wait.
Just blows up midair. Something like that. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So new awards, comeback story of the year. And is this for something on a Brownlow night, for example, like incorporated into Brownlow night, or just
it'd be on that awards night, I think, because they do the player awards, then Players Association awards, then like best captain, first year player, best young player too. I think. Well, no, that's a coach's one where it's like the highest, the most amount of votes from the first 2 years in the coach's vote. So yeah, probably just be on that night, but. Yeah, I think it'd just be a great award to add into for sure.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right.
Great.
Jake, what you got, mate?
Yes. No, just with our recent form and even North, there's a lot of jokes on Twitter. And my topic this week is about the legitimacy of club mergers and relocations. So I've got sort of a two-pronged thing here. One being... obviously, it's always used as a joke in passing, but it kind of got me curious about, could this happen in the near future? We've seen it done in 1914. University was merged into Melbourne. 1982 with South Melbourne and Sydney relocation, obviously, and then Fitzroy to Brisbane. Now we've got Tassie coming in. The AFL obviously want to expand into other states still. And we've got a lot of clubs in Victoria. Maybe too many. Is it feasible based off that we might actually see something in the future, maybe reducing Victorian clubs? And if so, now this is the interesting one. If it were to be one of your clubs involved, how would you react? What would you do? Would you keep supporting whatever club they become or relocate to? Would you change teams? Would you just ditch the AFL altogether? So, one, is it feasible? Can you see it happening soon? And two, if it did happen to your club, how would you process that? It's a big question.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, footy in New South Wales is just such an important priority, I think, with the Swans. Just as the decades have gone past, just the participation rates and the numbers have really increased. And that's why they started the Giants, of course, as well. So, I mean, if it were to happen, it wouldn't really make much sense. But of course, I'd still support the club, like massive Melbourne following, etc. And don't really support the team because of it's in Sydney. I support the team because it's the team, really, and the old man supports it too. So, yeah, I wouldn't know how to react. I think, it'd just be pretty unusual. But for me, I think, I just can't really see it happening, to be honest, at all.
Like across the competition.
Oh, no, I'll just answer the question about if the Swans were to relocate. But, yeah, across the comp, like I think AFL is a really traditionalist sort of sport. Like they obviously want to create equality, but, for a Victorian team, can't really see it happening. I mean, with a team that's lacking success and losing funds, etc., like I don't know how North's going in the inner sanctum, but obviously they still thinking they're heading in the right direction. But I can't really see it, to be honest. I think the 20th club has to go to another Western Australian team. Been here in Canberra too. I mean, I live in Canberra, but I just think it's a bit unrealistic, to be honest. I think there needs to be more infrastructure. I think Monaca's a bit too small. But I've also been hearing I saw in the news that like doing $100 million or like a massive stadium potentially development if they were to create a team in the NT. Don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. One sec. Keep talking. My guy's here to pick up my thing.
This guy's here.
Do your thing, mate.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Enjoy. He knows that he's Collingwood, mergers and stuff. That doesn't exist. He can bail.
Well,
what do you reckon, Terry?
I couldn't possibly see Carlton or Collingwood, to be fair, ever merging or
No.
moving.
Hypothetically.
I think any club right now, I think we're too far developed in the league to have that happen again. I think back in the day, we're still underdeveloped. We're well and truly in the AFL era now. Clubs are pretty profitable, even the ones that aren't making, as much as what the West Coasts and the Collingwoods and the like are.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I couldn't see it happening to my club, but, imagining a scenario where potentially if it ever did, I don't think I could. I mean, if it wasn't the Carlton Football Club, I don't think I would have the same. I don't think I would have the same passion.
Yeah.
That'd be my best guess.
And the AFL own the clubs, basically, right? It's not like the NFL or the EPL where they've got these billionaires and whatnot. It's the AFL. They're the AFL's assets, right? So they're going to protect them and pump money into them just to keep them going. And even the least successful clubs, name like one of them being us, we still get over 60,000 members. So, that's a lot of members. That's a lot of money. I did hear though that. Even in WA, it could be a possibility because of the waiting list on the West Coast membership. They've got such a massive waiting list. There's so many people that can't even get a seat at the ground. Is there a chance that there could be a third WA club? I don't know. If it happened to my club, though, geez, I don't think I could follow football.
Right?
I
Like it
I
would
just don't
suck
think I
out
could. Hypothetically, everyone links, Saints, North, Hawks, Tassie, that's always discussed. I think I would just turn the tally off and go just focus on some other sport. I just enjoy footy, but I wouldn't have that emotional connection, that history, the players, the jumper, that's the big thing, isn't it? The colours, the jumper, that's what makes it. That's what ties everything together. And if that's not there, then you kind of lose that spark. Yeah.
I mean, it is always interesting for the Swans, for example, when they play in Melbourne, you still have that, that underbelly here of the old South Melbourne guard, and they show up for the games as well. And I think
Brisbane do.
maybe a bit similar with Fitzroy. Yeah. So, I mean, life would always go on, but it's really hard to imagine it in the modern era happening,
Fitzroy, they had the same jumper and everything though, didn't they? They kind of didn't lose that identity. They were just moved. But if you merged, the Saints and like the St Kilda Kangaroos became something, I don't know. Especially if it's with another fan base that you just don't like. Imagine then having to support a club with them.
Be awful.
Imagine that. It's like, nah, I think you guys take this one. I think I'll.
It'd be positive if we were to merge with the Giants, so we'd get at least Jacob Gaynor, the Giant social media guy, working for us.
Your Twitter account would be fire. That's a benefit. Like that's something to look at.
Yeah.
If you had a choice, Jake, which club would you do it with?
Which club would I merge with? Imagine that. Wouldn't be North, obviously. Who would it be? I mean, it's kind of like, the colours, the song. Like obviously that would change. But like the players that they have, it's kind of like a free hit at recruitment. Like who's got the most guns? Like, I mean, Sydney, obviously. Sydney and sadly Geelong would be a good one because they're always at the top. They know how to run an AFL club. They have the history, the culture.
Good player development too.
Good player development, they're and it's still, well, there's a bit of a history with the club, even if it's them winning a lot. It'd be good to merge with like a club that you've had a lot of good games with or something. There's something that ties you together already. I couldn't name a specific club though. It'd have to be the club that's kind of at the top, but obviously that would never happen. It's going to be two clubs near the bottom. So right now, you got Hawthorn, you got North. Jeez, I'd probably take the Hawks the way they play if I had to pick. Some attacking footy, but
they got some good stars in there as well, up and
got
coming.
some good young kids coming through and all that. But yeah, probably not a thought I want to. Even though it's my topic, I don't want it to ever happen.
What about us, mate? The Saints and the Blues. We just merge.
Oh, finally, then we can have a channel together, eh? That'd be the benefit.
Shit.
That'd be the main benefit.
Yeah. Hey, mate.
Yeah.
Hello. All
Now
done.
we
Sorry,
can get
guys.
Yeah,
the
I'm
top
actually
dogs,
curious.
Top
to hear what
dogs
Luke thinks.
answer.
Yeah.
Uh, um. Yeah, I think it would be weird. Like I had you guys on speaker while I was doing my thing. I think Jake, you were saying that like it's hard to support because you're playing for the jump. Like there's no more sort of playing for that jumper anymore because it's a merged jumper almost. And I think in a hypothetical where Collingwood were just like in 97 and 98, we were absolutely broke anyway. And we had to merge with the club. Fuck, it'd be hard because like, what do you keep? What don't you keep? All that sort of history. And I know it's easy for us to say fuck North Melbourne to the Gold Coast, and then when the question gets put onto you, you're like, wait a second, man, this is actually hard. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you would support well, for me personally, I'd support them, like support their decision. I'd be fucking disappointed though, but I'd rather see the Pies in the Northern Territory than the Pies no more. Like, I'd rather see the Darwin Magpies than the remnants of the Collingwood Football Club dying in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I don't think any of the big Melbourne teams could ever. Oh, imagine like some rule came in, like Carlton and Collingwood had to merge, and we all had to get along, like step brothers and sisters.
Oh, mate. Nah, there'd still be brawls at games too. Anyway,
there was talk, and I think it was the 80s or 90s of a Carlton Collingwood merger, like early. Carlton when you guys were really broke. It was just, I think it was with Sydney as well. There was a couple of teams that. Who was your president, Terry? Like early 90s. He put you guys up a lot because I did some research on this ages ago.
Do you mean like early 2000s when we like the salary cap time and like?
Was that was maybe
local,
early 2000s instead of the 90s?
I mean, the story is that we nearly handed in the keys and we were broke. We had the $1 million fine, lost the draft picks from the salary cap breaches, well, the club was on our knees. John Elliott was his name.
Yeah. It's hang on, I'm just looking up at it now. Oh no, that was so Collingwood nearly merged in World War II with Melbourne.
okay.
Well, that's one of them. I had a whole thing because I was going to do a whole video about it, about different sort of mergers. Riles, didn't you do a video on mergers and stuff like that?
Well, thinking about it, I remember Cardi did a really good comment. You had him on the other week. He did a really good video about teams that were almost going to happen. I think there was also another one. It was like Melbourne and Hawthorn were almost a chance to merge, and they just didn't get through. That's one off the top of my head.
Yeah, right.
Fuck. Yeah, insane. I don't think it as much as you kind of want it to sort of happen because there is a lot of teams in. How's a 19 team going to work? How's a 20th team going to work? All these sort of clubs. I just at the moment, I just couldn't see it happening. Like North were probably the only ones with Gold Coast, and they were so close to go up there. There's no way they get done again and fucking go to Darwin. You know what I mean? There's no way.
Wow, mergers. 20 teams is like, that's it, right? I mean, probably said that about 18 teams as well. But
it has to be the competition, unless there's relegation or something. The competition's it'll be crazy if there's more than 20 teams or conferences, maybe like NFL.
And it's getting longer. Of like 24 rounds there is now plus opening rounds, so the season's getting longer. And at the same time, they've been hearing chats they could reduce the quarters. I mean, I can't be a fan of that. I thought COVID games are pretty quick, so I'd want to keep it 20 minutes.
Oh, is that them keeping the time on in stoppages?
Yeah, I think it's like
ridiculous.
if there was umpire yelled stop time, it actually wouldn't be a thing and just keep on going.
Yeah, so Port would have lost on the weekend in that scenario.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was that not?
I mean, in that case, that's incentive.
That was nuts.
Yeah, that was insane.
Kenny celebrate on the bench though is always good to see. Love it.
Yeah.
Fist pumping and everything.
Yeah.
Riles, mate, you've got somebody that's gifted 10 Riles Macca
Oh
memberships.
wow! Oh, I didn't even don't have my chat open, but I should open it. But yeah, no, thanks very much, Kai. Yeah, this bloke's very generous. He sometimes gives a couple subs on the live watch along. So
How
yeah,
good.
thanks very much, mate. Yeah,
Amazing.
very nice.
Very good. Well done. Little message for you, Luke, from Angelo. As a United/Blues fan, Magpies fan in the city, it's triggering him.
Hey, he paid $3 for that, so that's actually a win for me. So
It's a win all around. Do you want to go, Luke, or should I go?
Yeah, I can go because what you guys were just talking about goes well into me. So I was supposed to do, as you can see from the title, everyone, I was supposed to do footy omens, but with the move and stuff, I just didn't get a chance to sort of look into it. So that'll probably be my topic next week. So I actually do want to talk about something that Riles just brought up, which is the game length, shortened quarters, all these injuries going on. What does it mean sort of going forward? Last week, there was 150 injuries across the AFL of players not playing. It's 150 players were out injured. And, there has been sort of, Mitch Cleary came out and said that they're looking at maybe making the games quicker with, like what you said, Jake, timeline still getting played and stuff like that. We saw shortened quarters, so the game was shortened by 20% back in COVID time. So I think that was 16 minutes plus time on, something like that. And it's funny because I watched I rewatched highlights from the Carlton on my mind, the Richmond Collingwood game. The first game. that was literally rent free. That's the definition. That's the definition of rent free. The Collingwood Richmond game, the first game back from COVID where we drew and shortened quarters, but that game compared to now, in my opinion, was just so quick. Maybe because the boys hadn't played in like months, but it was just fast paced, not high scoring, obviously, but very fast paced. And we've got a cap on the injury times that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. With all these injuries and the game getting longer, there was a quarter that we played was like 34 minutes or something with all the timeline and stuff with injuries and goal reviews and all this stuff. If we're looking at the game being 25 rounds, 20 teams coming into it, the competition, teams playing off 5-day breaks, 6-day breaks, it kind of makes sense for the game to be shortened permanently if they want us to keep playing these games. Carlton and Gold Coast, we just did it. Saints, 3 games in 12 days would be sufficient if the games were, 17-minute quarters, and then or just cap it at 20. Like that's it. Like they do in the rugby, 45 minutes, you're done. That's it. Blow the whistle. And I know, being a Collingwood supporter, we would lose a lot of games because we come back right at the death, which, you'd probably get rid of half our games that we won close because of that. But I think for the longevity of the game, longevity of the players, if we're supposed to be looking after the players, I think shortened quarters might be the way to go if we want to see the best players on the field and more games. Thoughts?
I listened to I saw a video you shared of Craig McRae talking about it. I didn't realize the list was that heavy. Certainly when he highlighted, we've never asked more of the players than what we do in this version of the game. Let's get 200 plus pressure rating defensively for 4 quarters. You want them to score 100 points a game, generate 25-ish scoring shots a game, 666, fast paced.
Perfect tackling.
The tackling, you want 65 to 75 tackles a game as well. All of that, and it's like, how much more juice can you squeeze from the lemon before it's got none left? So I don't know what the answer to the question is, but 150 injuries, is this just a period of? Is this just the era that we're in right now, and it's going to sort itself out? I don't know, but I think this is the first time I've ever even thought about maybe agreeing with shortening the quarters, especially if we're going to be bringing 20 teams in and maybe extending the season.
Yeah.
Don't mind the idea of the count-up clock. Probably up to, I think on average it's about 27, 20 to 30 minutes a quarter. So maybe up to like 25. And, after goals, Yeah, that's a tricky one though. Like, would they continue the time on, keep the clock ticking after a goal? Like, obviously, the umpires. There's no time wasting involved. The umpires do it very quickly. That's probably the question I'd say if we'd shorten the quarters.
I
Yeah.
reckon.
Yeah.
You
reckon
also
It'd be a
have
lot
more
of
breaks because of this score review as well. I don't know what the average per game is. We are
Yeah.
seeing longer quarters, but we're also seeing more score reviews, and we're also seeing them take up to 45 seconds to a minute. So does that help players mid-game with get an extra bit of rest? I don't know.
Yeah, it probably plays to it. But what do you think about the interchange cap? Just getting rid of it. If we're seeing more players getting injured, with resting and stuff. If they got rid of the interchange cap and let players rest as much as they can, take them off more instead of having to manage minutes. Like I think, like there was one game. Billy Frampton played the whole game, 125 minutes, played the whole game without a rest because we had 3 injuries. So we were managing other players instead of the loads of our bigger players. And then they become slow. Mason Cox becomes slower because he's not getting enough rest. Like, I think that sort of affects it as well. And there's talks of even reducing it even more. People, traditionalists will say, leave it. Like there's some people in the comments saying, leave it as it is. But if we're serious about players' health and the longevity of the game, something needs to give. Someone's going to be unhappy, no matter what happens with the AFL. Someone's going to be unhappy, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
But if you just have no cap on the interchange, like it's not going to be unfair because it adds more strategy to the game, doesn't it? Because if you think you could do it in 90, you'll do 90, and if another club needs 120, they do 120. There's no unfairness because you're just doing based on the list of you. Like, for us, say we play 8 players under 50 games, maybe we need to rotate more and have a higher interchange rate than maybe a Sydney because they're a bit more experienced. They've been in the system longer. Maybe we need that, and you see less fade outs like that. Maybe you'll see more competitive football between the bottom teams and the top teams. If the top and if the bottom teams are young kids that need to rotate more, then maybe that's okay. But I don't understand why there is a cap. I don't see how it would affect the game. Like if one team needs 100, one team needs 105. Honestly, is that going to create that much of a difference in a game? It's all about strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think over the years they've tinkered like that. It was 120, then it went down to 90, and then they've obviously tinkered around with medi subs and everything. Well, I've been hearing too. I think they could really consider doing this, just getting rid of the sub and having 5 on the bench. I think a lot of fans and clubs would definitely agree with that. And with more of the injuries too, at least there'd be more players out there actually having a crack. So 5 on the bench, I think that's definitely a chance it could happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things that they can do to stop it. Like, we talked about opening round, gather round. That's 2 extra games a year on top of a heavy sort of turnaround, 23 games or whatever it is. And then, I know that with Tasmania coming in a couple of years, they probably go up to, what are they on now? 2 buys. So they'll probably get 3, like a buy a week. Is that what happened when Gold Coast came in? It was like a team missing out every week, pretty much. Or not pretty much. A team because it was uneven. So that's going to happen. So, so the competition is not going to be fair until there's 20 teams. But then with 20 teams, you're going to go all the 24 rounds because you can't play the same team 3 times. So you're going to have to try and compensate for who gets Tassie twice, who gets fucking Darwin twice. So then that comes into play, more games. We could see up to 28 rounds. Who knows? And then something just absolutely has to give. 28
rounds.
There's a lot.
I forgot about what it was like when every team had a bye when the Suns came in, and completely forgot about it.
The worst, the absolute worst.
Oh, that's a disaster for fantasy.
Yeah. I remember playing fantasy that year. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. It was stupid.
It's a disaster. Don't you feel like it's just like 15 years of just a compromised league? Like we kind of just got into the clear now that the Giants are well and truly settled, and the Suns are, they're settled obviously. Now we're going to go through it all over again.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll ever be settled, will it?
Probably not.
We'll never see it's just going to evolve constantly.
Yeah, it's the main issue. Just the inequality, I think, with AFL. So I think that's the highest thing on their priority. You hear Laura Kane talking about fixing equality issues in the comp. So that's always going to be up there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good one. See how that one plays out.
Yeah.
My theme and my question for you guys is about how you cope with, I mean, wins and losses, highs and lows. You're happy, you're sad, you're distraught, you're ecstatic. How have you learned, whether it's through the journey of your channels or just following the game, how have you learned to deal with the ups and downs of footy?
Well, I can start it off pretty quickly because I created the channel just to put everything out onto a camera, onto a video. So because I used to be, and I've said this many times, I used to be really bad at, if we lost on a Friday, there wasn't really many Thursday games back then, but if we lost on a Friday, I'd be fucked. You know, like for the rest of the weekend, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me on the way home. Don't tell me, oh, it's just a game, it'll be next week. I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to hear anything else. So I wanted to put it out, have Swoop as my therapy/therapist. And at the start it was sort of hard, like trying to regulate emotions from going from like 100 if we lost to then trying to be okay on camera, to now, you know, a loss to me, like after the first sort of 3 rounds, a loss now is I'm just trying to find positives in it. And some people don't like that. They want to just sit in that loss and sit in that hurt. And that's fine, you know, different strokes for different folks. But I try and find, even if it's one sort of positive, and that's what makes me want to record, or that's what makes me excited for the next week. If I can just find one positive in a loss, it gives me hope. And that's all I sort of look for. So I am dealing with it a lot better than I was 5-6 years ago before the channel. And now, you know, I can get everything out. And if we lose on a Thursday, I'm good for the rest of the weekend. It sucks. Losing sucks. Don't get me wrong. It's the worst. But yeah, I cope better now because I try and put a positive spin on it and, you know, stop the smell of the roses.
Well, I think compared to you guys, like you lot of fan channels, I'm sort of just more like the general sort of guy when it comes to content creation. I think what's a good coping mechanism is just like enjoying other teams and seeing the highs and lows of those sides, adding a bit more of a neutral edge. And if we'd lose the Swannies, I'd be like, oh, well, it is what it is. But then I can go and enjoy, you know, maybe seeing like a Gold Coast up and about off the back of 3 games, like GWS. So absolutely loved watching second half of the year. And, you know, I just felt, especially in that elimination final, I was pretty disappointed, but I felt it really was coming just with our injuries and just how we combated all year long, our poor second halves, and it was inevitable, really. And I loved the Blues run after that. That semi-final win was epic, and just really getting around other teams definitely does help and makes you enjoy the game more. So, yeah, I think adding that neutral edge to yourself makes the sport more enjoyable.
Yeah. I probably, as a kid, we were good from 2004 to 2010. But weirdly, that's when I probably took losses the worst, because I probably didn't have perspective on how good we were. And I probably took that for granted. Even going back now and I look at it, I'm like, I watch a highlight of a game that I was at and we absolutely played like pristine, just beautiful football for 4 quarters, perfect. And I remember sitting in the stadium of those games, like, you know, we beat Brisbane by 139 points, round 22, 2005. Milne kicked 11 straight. And I remember sitting there.
Wow.
And that was without Fraser Gehrig and I think Aaron Hamill didn't play, and we kicked nearly 200 points. And I thought, like now I think and I go, unbelievable. I will never see that sort of football again in my life. But I remember being there and I was just like, oh, this is pretty fun. And I remember like even weeks before that we'd lose and my whole week would be ruined. And I'm thinking to myself now, I wish like we talked about going back in time, that would be a thing. I'd go back and be like, you know, we're a bloody good team. We're going to lose along the way. I completely lost track of where we were at. We were a top team, but I never processed that in my brain. Whereas now, like obviously you do a bit more research, you talk about the club every single day, you've got a bit more of a deeper understanding of the, I guess, what it takes to be a good team, the time it takes to be a good team, what needs to be put in place, whether it's president level, board level, obviously draft, trading, recruitment, everything like that across the board. Us as kids, we didn't think that deeply. We just saw win-loss, and that was it. If there was more wins than losses, great. If there was more losses than wins, we'd feel like shit. Now, I'm thinking, you think the long game, don't you? Like, we lost last week, and that was probably our season. I have to think further than that. I have to think bigger than that, and that helps me understand, okay, we're not there yet, and I don't want us to be fake and make it and then get blown out of the water. When we make it, I want us to be legitimate, and I want us to be there for 5-10 years. So if that takes time and that means we have to miss out this year, so be it. But I want to see the things put in place. Whereas as a kid, I didn't look out for those things. I just wanted to win every week, which just meant losing was 10 times worse.
Do you think having your fan channels, the ones that you run, has helped or hindered that as well? Like, do you feel like a sense of responsibility in the way in which you carry yourself in your channel?
Yeah, definitely. Because now we've all, even Riles, even though you're doing everything, you still, I feel like you would still carry that sort of responsibility where people, for good or bad, and even if you didn't want it, they do look up to you for what's going on, for answers, and we don't always have the answers, but like I said, if you can find one positive to sort of hark on during a bad period or during a loss, like I think fans and people watching that appreciate that, where you're not just going, fuck, that was shit. Like if I had a 10-minute video of me after our third loss to St. Kilda, just absolutely harping on the players. And I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. Yeah, awesome. You'd get heaps of views but the views would be hate views. They'd be like, oh, look at this idiot. Like he's grown this channel just to say, dump all of these players because they're playing shit because they've lost their third match in a row, Jake, I didn't see your review of the of the loss on the weekend, but I guarantee you find something in there at least to sort of, because you want to or not, like you want to. I feel like you just want to give support, and you think about the future. Like, okay, we're shit now, but look, we're getting more games into Owens, into King, into fucking Philippou, or whoever it may be. We're getting games into them, and we will come good. And it's a teething process, right? It's a shit feeling, but I feel like that responsibility of hang on, but smell the roses in a loss, and that will set us up for the future.
Yeah, I think you've got to be critical but constructive. You can't, like, it depends on the club too, right? Like for Saints fans, it's been a long wait. And a lot of my followers are people that have seen some bad Saints teams. Yeah. It's a balancing act, because if I'm too positive, they'll be like, Jake, I've been a member for 60 years and I've seen this shit before. I get those messages and I completely understand that. But yeah, I get what you mean too. You've got to balance it with, maybe we're not there yet. But that's a negative, but it's being real. And you're being honest, you're like, maybe we're not there yet. We don't deserve to be in the 8 the way we're playing. We need to kick more goals. So you've got to almost deviate from, geez, that was just shit, to how can we kick more goals? What do we need to do? Who needs to come in? So you've got to turn it around and be critical but constructive. So I'm going to be critical. I'm going to say that was shit. But what do we do next week to change that? And then that turns into a discussion, and it's not negative. It's not powered by, I hate this player. You kind of have to deviate from that scapegoat mentality that we talked about. Don't pick on the one or two players, because North aren't at the bottom because a couple of players are playing bad. It's across the board. We didn't lose on the weekend because a couple of players made a few blues in the back line, like Bonner's turnover. That didn't cost us the game. It's across the board. So you've got to be a bit more level-headed than that. If I go back and look at my early reviews in 2018, I was much more, this is just effing shit. I just ranted on video. But I guess that happens with age, right? You grow up, you mature a little bit. You kind of understand the inner workings of a club and how difficult it is to get to the top and then to win the whole thing. So you have a bit more of a respect.
Yeah, I'm sort of similar to you as well. Joe Clark as a Swans, Swans man growing up as a kid through the mid 2010s, just finals every year. In the last decade now, just grand final losses too. Now, like I've gotten a bit old, you just realise it's bloody hard each year to make a grand final. And sort of, I guess the maturity really grew 2019, 2020, whilst we were starting to play a lot of kids, invested heavily in the draft, and just love the little moments. Like, when James Bell kicked his first goal, did the Aboriginal dance in one of probably the worst primetime Friday night game there was in 2019. It was like 20,000 at the MCG, but just the little things I really grew fond of. And Rowbottom, loving his development. And yeah, it was very lucky in 2021 where just everything clicked. Buddy came back, Kennedy found some form. I think maturity is the big thing once you get older a little bit, about how difficult it is to definitely succeed as a club. And I think, I just agree with you. When as a little kid, you just thought, we've made finals, let's just win the whole thing. But it's definitely a very, very hard thing to do, win a premiership.
Yeah.
And what about you, Terry? Because you started off the channel when Carlton weren't going good, and now they're hitting some form over the last couple of years. So you sort of the inverse.
It's been really interesting for me, and it's been really interesting to hear all of you share your experience. So, I mean, me personally, when I started, highly emotional, swearing, carrying on like an idiot.
Sorry, Terry, can I just interrupt you? I love that 10,000 subs video. Just you through the years when you started off.
Yeah.
You like smash your desk when someone made a terrible mistake.
I'm kicking the ball to Michael Gibbons, mate. What are you doing?
Gibbons, I love that.
Yeah. I didn't mind that. I thought that was okay. But I think, I had a few moments where I said some things about players that I shouldn't have said, called a player like a fucking fraud. Like, not the worst thing to say, but also like irresponsible. There came. I think there was a few key moments, a few key people I met along the way. I think Nathan Buckley was a massive one. Bucks was the one that really it broke through to me when I spoke to him about the process and the outcome. He was so obsessed with winning a premiership to the detriment that he didn't even enjoy his career in the early stages because he was just so fixated on winning a premiership. And no matter what, if he didn't win a premiership, it was a failure. That was the way he was, he wired himself. And it wasn't until he started enjoying the fact that, hey, I'm here, I'm in footy, I've got a good team, I'm playing or I'm coaching. And I think that started turning the needle for me. We had gone through so many years of just failure, disappointment, no finals. We got to the middle of round 12, 2023, and it was like the hole grew so big. I think a little part of me died there. I think a little part of me died when Collingwood beat us in round the last round of 2022. And then it just got to a point where you're like, look at what we do. Like we do this, like, look at what we're doing. Like I'm enjoying it now. I'm enjoying the way Carlton are playing for the most part in the last, 20 games. It's been good to enjoy. I actually, in a really dark and twisted way, find pressure from my own supporter base to be more toxic and be more negative, which I think is the most insane thing in my mind. And maybe I need to take a step back and say, well, you're just not living in the same reality as some people because you have a channel and all of that. But I do feel it like there's a real subsection of the community that just don't want to hear a growth mindset. They want you to sort of like lash out at them and call them dog shit. Like, mate, I had a guy in the rating show last night come in on the chat and say, I hope Durden and Fantasia do an ACL. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, what are we doing? Like, what is that? So it's like, I think we're all responsible. We don't work for the club, but without the club, we don't have a channel. So you have to respect the club. We don't have subject matter to talk about if there isn't our club. So there's like an underlying ultimate respect, love the club more than anything, want a premiership more than anything in my life. I'm just sort of dreaming for that day that the siren goes and I can just cry my little heart out. But at the same time, I wouldn't change anything. Like the journey, like the fan cams we come on after a game whether we've won. I think after a loss, it's more impactful than when we win, because after a loss, everyone's so fired up. We sit there 2.5 hours and we just sort of sit together, even though we're not in the same room. And so that's how I cope with it. But I've definitely learnt, and that's what the title of the video is, equanimity. So the most important thing, I think, for Carlton and any successful team is like, can you stay calm when things are not going your way? And so over the journey, it's a learned skill that haven't perfected yet. I never will. But yeah, I think it's important. Getting too emotional and getting too up and down is just, that's old Carlton, and that's what made us a failure, because we would panic and sack a coach. So yeah.
You do it in game in the stands. You can go nuts. That's when you let loose. Like I saw your video. Was it yesterday? That was unreal, mate. That was a roller coaster. That was such a roller coaster, and I loved it. That's where you can go, and that's where you ride the highs and the lows, and you can let loose. Respectfully, of course, at the game, but you can let loose and be an animal in a way. And then you get on the camera, and then you've got to just be calm in a crisis if you've lost. Or just calm and enjoy the win and enjoy it with the fans. So you get the opportunity to do it all, don't you? At the game, you can be that crazy person. Then on camera, you can 100%. Be that calm person. Yeah.
And when I posted up that video, so it was like the last 5 minutes or something of the game, and that's how I usually am, just in the game, just in general. And I had a couple of comments and a couple of DMs, like, we've never seen you this angry before. We've never seen you like this before. And I'm like, yeah, because it's just like, it's white line fever for supporters. I feel like when you go into a game, and I've never watched the game with any of you guys, so I don't know how you guys act in the stands. But and even watching it on the TV, you just get it all out, and then as soon as that final siren goes, though, win or loss, it's okay, cool. It's a bit different now for me because I do the fan cams after, and I've got to interview people and stuff. But pretty much when that siren goes, that anger that I just had, or that all that thing, that just goes, and another sort of Luke sort of comes into play. That's and then you get on camera, and then you sort of you're not that person anymore. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. Obviously after a win, you feel that elation, and you go off that into that sort of joy. But yeah, that stays. Recently anyway, probably 3-4 years ago, it would have been different, but now it's now it's changed a lot. But that was fun. That was a good game.
Was that your mum next to you while you're going nuts?
Yeah. Fucking so funny. So it was mum and dad's anniversary. So I took him. Dad usually comes with me anyway, but I took mum, and dad had this camera. He's got this 360 camera, and he the first time that he's used it, and he put it in front of me while we were recording, while we were in that final game. And for some reason, mum didn't know it was there. And I don't know if you've seen the video, but mum's like smashing down a hot dog or something. And then the video goes up, and she watches it. And she came over here. I put it up yesterday. She came over here yesterday, clips me in the back of the head, and goes, "You didn't fucking tell me there was a camera. Like, I was eating. I hate people watching me eating." I'm like, well, it was like right in front of me, mum. Like, what do you want me to do? It's you saw it, man. What do you want me to do? But no, she's worse. She's quiet as a mouse, but she's at the game, she's worse than me. But I think Dad might have cut all of her stuff out.
That was epic. Love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so that's that. Now, Luke, you've got to go, right?
Yeah. I got to. This is my last day in the house. So last day in the house. So I got to keep packing. I've got a quarter of the house left to put into my car. So
that means, is there a new studio background happening? Is that what we're going to expect, or?
There will be eventually, but I'm moving. So I've been here for 10 years. So sold this place, couldn't find another place. I got very naive in thinking that I could move in from this place to another place straight away. universe didn't let me happen like that. So I'm moving back in with my parents for a little bit. So there won't be allowed to paint the walls. But hopefully when I move into my own place, there'll be a bit of a nicer studio, a bit of a nicer feel. But you'll from next week you won't be seeing the black and white stripes anymore. It'll be just a plain white background.
Okay. All right. Well, that could be a little bit of a sign. Talk about footy omens. I don't know.
No. We're not doing that.
Before we go, maybe we go around and give a little upset that we can see happening this week.
Yes.
All right. What are the games?
Well, I did my tipping video. I recorded it yesterday, and that's out on the channel. And I've went with the Hawks against Brisbane. I just think they seem to have their measure every time. They knocked off the Lions in Tassie, I think, like 2022. It was a massive shootout. So how the Hawks go at the moment, I think they can seriously get the job done. The midfield's been much better, and Cole Shadir and maybe Charles been great. Still no, I think Sicily and Scrimshaw are going to come back this week. So Marvel, I reckon they can pick up the upset.
Oh, West Coast over Adelaide. Imagine that.
In Adelaide?
It's in Adelaide though.
Tricky.
They're not the same team away. But I mean, it's there for the taking. I mean, I would dare say us against Melbourne is a chance because they've got Jake Lever out, I think.
Yeah,
he's got him for
That's a pretty big out. I don't know if we've got anyone else.
Do you get Higgins and Butler back this week?
Yeah, well, we've only got James Van Ez and I can't remember who the other guy is on the injury list. But it's we've got a full list to select from. So Hunter Clark, Brad Crouch had 38 in the VFL. Matty Ellison kicked 5. Jack Hayes played. Dan Butler, Jack Higgins. So we could see 5 or 6 senior boys come in, and that could be our best team on the park.
Saints will win this week.
And it's at the MCG. We play very well at the MCG. Like when we play there against Collingwood, we love the space. We can run. That was the last time we played good football, to be honest, was at the MCG. So, what are we? $3.40.
I feel like when the Saints play well, in my mind, when the Saints are playing well, it's Butler and Higgins running.
Yeah, it's sprinting. Quick. It's out the back. It's ground ball, high pressure. We haven't had that. Liam Henry, Higgins, and Butler haven't played together, I don't think, or maybe one game might have been against. I don't know if Butler played against the Pies, but Higo kicked 4 that day. Henry was awesome. We generally match up pretty okay. It's just their midfield, obviously, like Petrarca. Yeah. But they're similar to us. I've always seen Melbourne as, that version of us where they've, minus the midfield differences, but they don't kick massive scores, but they've got a good defense, kind of like us. Just maybe obviously a little bit better. I don't know. Jake Lever out's massive. And the way West Coast played against them, I mean that's a bit of a blueprint. They took him to pieces. They ran through the guts. They made Melbourne look slow. So if we can get some sort of form or running game going, I dare say we could be in for a bit of an upset at the G on Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
I
wish they smashed West Coast. I hate that they gave me hope. Pisses me off.
My lock, maybe not lock, but my upset, and I know I tipped them last week, and I don't know why I'm doing it again to get burnt 2 weeks in a row, but I think North over Port. I think North for 3 quarters against Essendon played okay. I think Port really gassed themselves. I think the Hawks showed a lot of the blueprint of how, much like West Coast and Melbourne, how to sort of take it to them. And then the Hawks, Sam Mitchell, I don't know. He's just like, you know what, fucking 40 points up, park the bus, and then just let Port Adelaide run over the top of them. I think Essendon, I know last week I said Essendon, I got to give them credit sometimes and credit to them. They're a really good side. But I think North, and it's at Bloodstone in Tassie. So I think North might beat Port.
That's a big call.
What's the recent form against these?
Oh, they've been smashed the last 2 times.
We've been smashed
Like
the last 2
absolutely annihilated.
90 points and 69 points.
There's no form line.
I tell you what,
There's no form line.
if it was a Marvel, I'd honestly favour it a little bit more because of the Horn Francis situation. Hornet is yet to play North at Marvel and receive the full treatment. 2 years now it's been in Hobart. So yeah, I don't know. I think they've got the Tigers soon North, so probably see how they go first against them. If we want to talk about first wins in my eyes.
I mean, Freo as well against the Pies, honestly, wouldn't be.
That'd be a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
at Optus.
Yeah,
as
I haven't
well.
done my preview yet, but I'd give Freo half a shout. A couple more injuries to us. Freo are in a rich vein of form, and they just couldn't. If they can kick straight against us, who knows? You know, they just haven't been able to kick straight the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they only lost the expected score by like 10 points or something against us. Although their effort was very good, it was 1 goal, 11 goals, one halfway through the third. So, that should be a good match Friday night for the kick straight.
Interesting. Riles, I think there's a crazy record for teams that play Carlton the week after. So I hope you don't fall into the same trap. A lot of teams lose after they play us.
I've actually tipped the Bulldogs. I've just think under the roof they're different gravy.
How can you possibly tip the Bulldogs against?
It's just a Bevo thing to do to beat us, and they match up well against us. The Dogs the last couple of times, like they've been good games. I mean, last year Horses 300th we just got over the line, and then I think 2022 they beat us in a tight one. So.
Yeah, but then you beat them by 53. So.
Back at the SCG. But I just think at Marvel, like they can play some good footy, and like Sam Darcy's been unbelievable, and still no Tom McCartan again this week. I just found out today, so he could have a bit of a field day if not careful.
Yeah.
Hey, can you run me through just quickly? So Luke Parker got the suspension. I mean, that's one thing. He just couldn't get into the team because the team was in good form, and there's just standards, and you're not breaking up a winning formula. That's why he couldn't get in.
Certainly. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Taylor Adams has been huge for us. He's not really been getting 3 vote-worthy performances. Just like his ability to extract the footy in and under has been massive for us. So, I don't think there's really been a spot for Parker. There's been questions on, could he play forward, but he's probably not mobile enough. Like Sam Wicks has been huge for our full pressure. So, I think, honestly, we're just going to keep him in the 2s. And the big thing as well is just load management, especially he's getting more injury prone when end at the point end of the season. And now with a 6-week suspension, he's not going to be back till 3, 4, 5, until like round 16, round 17. So hopefully he'll be right by then. But it's just simply our team's been flying. That's why he hasn't been getting in.
Does he leave at the end of the year? Terry's looking like he wants him out. Was that one spot?
Look, honestly, I think I don't want it to happen. I think he's a one-club player by heart. He's been huge for us the past decade. So it's a move you can't really see happening, but it'd be a good fit, I think, like at a North Melbourne, just the veteran head, the wise sort of person to come over, but I can't really see it happening.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's that. I think that's it, boys. I think that's going to do us for tonight. Riles, mate, thanks so much for coming on. It was so good to have you on, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, pleasure, guys. Yeah, it's great to have a chat with some 3 top quality guys across the community about the footy. So, thanks very much.
We'll get you on again, no doubt. Any last words? Jake, Luke, what do you got?
Last words.
Not much, man. Just stop to smell the roses in life. And I called my cousin up. It was his 21st birthday, my godson. The only advice I could give him was stop to smell the roses in whatever you're doing, and love as hard as you can. You know, we're here for a finite period of time, so love as hard as you can, and stop and smell the roses.
That's very good.
There's always next week, as they say.
There is always next week. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I had to pull that one out. Honestly, had to pull that one out. That's how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great evening. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning
See you
in.
guys. Thanks
Cheers,
a lot.
guys.
See you next week.
See you.